All right, Derbyites, we are on the category now for comedy guest actress. We have some editors with us today, Ralph and Rob. And basically, guys, I just want to know, you've seen all the episodes, you've seen all six. And, oh, by the way, let me just tell you who's nominated first. We have three ladies from Orange is the New Black. We have Uzo Aduba, who submitted Lesbian Request Denied. That same episode was also submitted by Laverne Cox. And then the third Orange cast member nominated here was Natasha Lyonne. Her episode is Whack Pack. We also have nominated Joan Cusack for Shameless, and her episode was Liver, I Hardly Know Her. And Melissa McCarthy is back, as well as Tina Fey. They were both nominated for hosting SNL. Again, so Ralph, you've seen all these episodes. What are your picks, 1 through 6? Who's going to win this? Who's going to lose this?
Oh man, this is probably one of, if not the toughest category for me because I just don't know. Everybody has, I mean, with these write-ups that we've done and these emails back and forth, some great points in here. But my ranking for today, because yesterday was different, for today, my ranking is Uzo at number 1. I have Joan Cusack at number 2. I have Melissa McCarthy in 3rd, Laverne Cox 4th, Natasha Lyonne 5th, and Tina Fey 6th.
That is exactly my order, by the way.
Wow.
my top 3 are very interchangeable. I had Joan Cusack yesterday. I had Melissa McCarthy right after I watched that episode. It's just like there's some really strong submissions in this one, and Rob said something in his write-up, which we were just talking about, are all so great to have, about Uzo's tape, where he said that she was the only one doing something completely different than everybody else, and it kind of just was like, yeah, that's so true. And she closes the episode, and so Uzo's today is number 1, but tomorrow I don't know.
And yeah. Rob, what are your 6 in order?
It's very close to what you and Ralph have just said. I have Uzo Aduba at number 1. I'm pretty confident about that. So I have her, even though my top 4 are interchangeable, I think she's going to stay at number 1. I've got Melissa McCarthy at number 2, Joan Cusack at number 3, Laverne Cox number 4. So those top 4 for me, amazing. Then I've got Tina Fey and Natasha Lyonne at number 6. Fey and Lyonne are pretty much down the bottom. They can be interchangeable as well. Yeah, so I'm so impressed with the women in this category. Great. That was a pleasure to have to watch all of those. Right. So that's what I'm thinking.
I think this is a 4-person race. I think Natasha Lyonne and Tina Fey are out of it. Tina Fey has won this before, but when she won it in 2009, I think that was the year she won. It was for the Sarah Palin impression that had this huge cultural impact. This episode, no one really talked about it. When she got nominated, part of me said, "Oh, she hosted this year," and I had already seen the episode. I saw it when it aired.
That's right.
Her big thing this year is just introducing the 6 new cast members, and by the way, 3 of them got fired this week.
Yeah.
So that's kind of ironic. But she's won before for a much better performance and much better impact than this, so I think she's out of it. Do you guys think she has no chance? Ralph?
Yeah, I don't think she has a chance at all.
Yeah. I loved her sketch, that girls sketch. That was funny. That was really good. She's playing the Albanian person. Like, that's great. But apart from that, she's really good on Weekend Update too. But she's just playing Tina Fey. Like, really, it was good that she was nominated. Great, whatever. But not a chance really.
Isn't that crazy how we're saying she has no chance and she's Tina Fey?
Yeah. I know.
Tina Fey.
Tina freaking Fey. God love her, but no, she's probably not going to win this. And the same goes for Natasha Lyonne. She's really good on the show, and in fact, she has some really good one-liners, but throughout the whole season of season 1. And she's even got a couple of very short scenes in Uzo's and Laverne's episode. But in her episode, it's really very dramatic and heartfelt. She's really good. Not a single smirk. I don't even think I moved my face. So it's just, she's down to the bottom, and very lucky to be nominated because there's a lot of people from her show that could have been nominated. So yeah, that's how I feel about her. Do you agree with that, Ralph?
Yeah, I completely agree. I had the same reaction. I think she was really great, and You know, she had some great standout scenes in there, like her addiction scene and all that, but it was just dramatic. I mean, there was nothing to chuckle at. And actually, in her tape, I think you just pointed out, Uzo had a few more chuckles in Natasha Lyonne's submission than Natasha Lyonne actually did. So.
Right, and you know what else? Natasha Lyonne's character is just one of the forgettable characters on the show, whereas the other two nominated here are people talked about them a lot, especially Uzo's character, Crazy Eyes. People were dressing up as Crazy Eyes for Halloween, including a lot of white people, and they got in trouble for it. So, you know, Uzo's character and Uzo herself just really made an impact with people. I was actually surprised that Natasha Lyonne got even nominated, but her episode is good. I mean, I have her in fifth place, but it was still good. She had a couple flashbacks, you know, but again, it was dramatic, and she was crying. And you know, are they going to reward this kind of a dramatic performance in this category? I don't know. This is a debate that we always have, where if someone's up for drama and they're in the comedy race, you know, maybe they can't win. But it's happened before, and it hasn't happened before, so who knows?
But if you want to talk about dramatic, let's talk about Laverne Cox, because you know, I had to write up that article about the episode and her performance, and it's really good. It's really good character arc, and she plays a variety of emotions. Again, though, there's no laughs. It's pretty dramatic. And then I learned something which I didn't know, because I watched the episode, write the article just like a voter would. I kind of watched it as a voter would, but then some comments in that article, and we've talked about this in emails, comments in that article referred to the opening scene, where I thought it was her kind of made up to look like a man again, and it was her twin brother. And I don't think a lot of voters will know that, and will think that she's so brave and so extraordinary to be, you know, doing that in the beginning of the episode, and then, you know, showing how she morphed into the woman that she's now. I just don't think voters will know that, and I think that adds to her cachet, and maybe even might pull her over the line. So I don't know what you guys think. What do you think, Marcus?
I think it's an Emmy controversy that no one's really talking about, but I mean, I watched the episode twice now, and both times I thought it was Laverne Cox. You know, the pre-op scenes, I thought they were her, but I found out 3 days ago that it was Laverne Cox's twin brother. And Ralph, you already knew this, right? So did that influence how you saw the episode?
No, I mean, I just didn't really give it a second thought. I knew it was her twin brother on there, and so I mean, it was just a scene with the guy that was being her, and so it really didn't register with me as much as I imagine. I mean, you guys have more, I think, what the voters' mentality would be, because I'm sure a lot of them, like Rob said, probably don't know that, and I already did just because I had read it already a year ago.
It would be really interesting to see, you know, in the past, up until this year actually, the guest categories were all edited down to just the scenes. This year they're going to see the whole episode. So if last year's rule had applied this year, where they would edit it down, I wonder if those scenes would have been on the episode reel. If so, that would have been huge controversy.
Absolutely. Do you think it will matter do you think voters will care that this is such a historic nomination for the first openly transgendered person to be nominated in an acting category? That is a big deal. I don't think voters will really take that into consideration, but do either of you think that is in her favor?
I don't think so. It can't hurt, though.
Yeah.
To be the first of anything is always really, really cool. It's something to always hold close. But I don't know if that'll be such a big impact, especially because we all have her in fourth. If she was maybe first or second, it might swing her over the edge.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about Uzo, because I think she is the breakout star from that show, and also one of the breakouts from the season in total. I mean, I just think that character is so good, and she is so good as Crazy Eyes, and the episode is, I mean, she's only in, like, she's got a few scenes, but really there are 3 main ones where she serenades Piper in the yard, where she does "I Will Cut You." That "Cut You" scene, I was on the floor. That was fantastic. And then when she pees at the end, I was literally laughing out loud with the "I Don't Give an F" song in the background, blaring with her defiant pissing on the floor. She's just so good. And we've just said this, but there's nothing like her in this category or in the Emmys total. And I just think it would be a crime for her not to win this. I really do.
And Ralph, you've interviewed her before, and she is so different in real life than her character Crazy Eyes. And if voters have seen an interview with her, or if they've happened to meet her before, and they'll see how apart she is from her character, that will definitely help.
I agree. I mean, she's completely different and awesome. And we both had the pleasure of hanging out with her a little bit. And yeah, she's nothing like Crazy Eyes. But what Rob said, I mean, those 3 scenes that she has are awesome and standouts. But those are the 3 scenes that she has. Like, we can't really go back to anything more that she does in the episode, which is unfortunate because she's so good. But I mean, I think why I switched from what Rob said is because, again, like you mentioned, that she's doing something that nobody else in the category is like or performs like, and she just leaves this lasting impact on you that you would think Laverne Cox would, having that huge arc and having such an important arc for her character. But after watching watching the episode over again, I'm still thinking, like, God, Uzo was just so freaking good in that episode.
I agree. She's the one that stuck with me the most. And you have to believe that she'll stick with voters as well.
Yeah.
So what about Joan? Oh, keep going, sorry.
No, I was just going to just segue to Joan Cusack, because we know how much Ralph loves that show, right? And I will admit, it's not my cup of tea, and I find it a chore to watch. And I don't want to offend anybody, but I just don't really like the show. And when I watched it, I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a chance, and it just didn't really get me. I just didn't really go for it. She's really good in it, though, and so that's why I have her in the top 4. And she could certainly win. She's been nominated so many times for this role, and will she finally do it? Ralph, tell us. Try to persuade us. What is it about her that you love this role so much?
Well, I don't really think it's that I love the role so much. It's just more that I think she's in the right category this time. All the 3 years she was in before, she was in the drama guest actress category, as we know, and she submitted some really great, powerful stuff. And she could have won if her role wasn't just so over the top, kind of ridiculous. And that's exactly what this episode has. I mean, she's in a wedding dress, first of all, is the first introduction we have of her. Just like she was nominated for an Oscar for a film where she sat in a wedding dress on the street. And she's on the floor in this one in her gown, making flower arrangements and whatnot. And then
it's an oversized wedding dress. It's comedically funny.
Exactly. And then she's trying to marry this guy who's dying, marry him before he dies, so that she could adopt these kids from an Indian reservation. And then she makes this deal with a taxi cab driver to get him a new liver, and he ends up stealing one of Frank's organs. And she goes to the hospital and thinking he's on his last breath, running down a hallway in a wedding gown and like getting married. Just I mean, I thought it was a great episode. She was in it a lot. She was featured a lot, and she just had some great material to work with. And I think after 3 nominations, there's obviously support for her because she made the transition over to the guest comedy actress category and was able to score a nomination there. There's industry support, and she's a 2-time Oscar nominee, and she's never won. And I don't know. I mean, I honestly think she's got as good a chance as she's ever had now that she's rightly placed.
I love Shameless. I'm a big Shameless fan. I just caught up on season 4. It was the best season they've ever had. It really was. And of the scenes you mentioned, there was one more where she's in the bedroom and Emily Birdsall, her co-star, tells her that William H. Macy has died. And she's screaming, and I think she starts pounding on his chest, so there's physical humor as well. Of course, he's still alive. But if it weren't for Uzo's breakout performance, it comes down to those 2 things. Is it the industry vet or the breakout new star? I can't decide. I can't decide what to do.
Yeah, and what worries me is voters will just not care about either of those 2 things and just give it to someone else. They've done that many a time, and we've all been scratching our head. So that leads me to the dark horse here. The comedy force. If you read lots of articles about Melissa McCarthy, they use those words. She's a force. She really is a force to be reckoned with. There is nobody like her. She's hilarious, and she really plays up her. She's big. She's larger than life in so many ways. And in this episode, she's not as good as the first 2 times she hosted Saturday Night Live, but she's damn funny. It really is. I was laughing out loud throughout the whole thing. And she's ridiculous and all the stuff that we'd love to see from her. And she could certainly do it this time. She is the dark horse. And you guys, I think you guys agree with me, yeah? What do you think, Ralph?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I actually was bummed when I watched the episode because she was so funny, and I was like, no, I don't want her to win. But no, I mean, I'm not a big Saturday Night Live fan. It was, one of the very few that I saw this season, and she's great. I think the only thing that would draw me back from her is that in that episode, she was exactly the same pretty much in every character. It was some type of like physical humor where she was like falling or jumping through a window, or she was in the sky like, beating some guy up. So it wasn't really like there was too much variety there. She was just being exactly as we see her, pretty much. So that's the only reason I have her down in third.
She always gets the mentally deranged characters.
Yeah, she's so good at it.
Remember I think it was the first season she was up. She had the ranch dressing and she dumped it on. And this year we haven't talked about her monologue yet, but it is amazing. Her and Bobby Moynihan get in a fight. They end up going up on wires and they're having this air fight. And she is the best physical comedian working today. I'll say that.
Totally.
Great. And then the monologue before the monologue, where they do the Super Bowl Broadway show, and she does the womp womp character. Every time she did it, I laughed. And this is a comedy category. I was happy to laugh because after watching Natasha Lyonne and watching Laverne Cox, I'm like, I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah, I'm going to cut myself. I need to quickly laugh. I totally agree. That flashback in the monologue where she takes the llama, like I was in stitches. So that is brilliant. So that was hilarious. I'm really worried about her. So let's talk about our favorites. And while I'm talking, I'll just keep going, and then I'll pass it off to you, Marcus. Uzo Aduba, there's no secret, she's my favorite. In my dream Emmy ballot, by the way, everybody, you should go and fill out your dream Emmy ballot on Gold Derby. If this was a dream Emmy ballot with these 6, Aduba would be up front for sure, and I'd put McCarthy in second because I thought she was awesome. Cox in third, probably, I don't know, Cusack, then the other 2, Leon and Faye down the end. What about you, Marcus?
Yeah, it is a 4-person race. I can't believe it. It's just like the other Natasha and Tina shouldn't have even been nominated. I mean, let's just stick with 4 this year. Let's pretend the other 2 aren't here. But I have to give it to Joan Cusack. She's nominated over and over and over, and now she's finally in the comedy category, in the correct category for her and for the show. I would give it to her. Second place, Uzo. Third, Melissa McCarthy, and then fourth, Laverne. Fifth and sixth, who cares?
My dream Emmy ballot. So I think it would pretty much mirror what Marcus just said, except I'm not as cruel as to not care about 5 and 6. But no, yeah, I would love for Uzo to win. I'm a huge Uzo Aduba fan. I thought she was awesome, but I just thought that in terms of more to do in her episode and more to see, we got a lot more out of Joan Cusack and what she was able to do and what she displayed, and so I would give the edge to her. But man, if either of those 2 won, that'd be great. But then again, like Rob said, McCarthy's really scary. Like she could pop in out of nowhere and jump through a window and grab that Emmy and run away, and who knows? I don't know. That's the scary one.
Yeah. And one last thing before we sign off. All 3 of these orange ladies are going to be at the Emmys. Tina Fey is not going to be at the Emmys. So if you're an Emmy voter and you want your winner to come up on stage, give it to someone who will be there. Joan Cusack, I think she was there last year, so there's a good chance she could be there. Melissa McCarthy, is she too big for the Creative Arts Emmys? Is she, is she too big of a movie star? And we know she's going to be at the real one because she's up for Mike and Molly, so she may not go to the Creative Arts. Let's give it to someone that'll be
there. Yeah, good point.
All right, so thanks everyone for watching. We're going to have a ton of videos throughout this Emmy season. We're going to do one Slugfest on every category, so you're going to get sick of us by the end of this. All right, we'll see you.